Yes, Mike, thank you.
Creative, right?
Good afternoon. It is 4:30 PM. We are joining you today on Wednesday, July 5th, 2023. At this time, we'll call the City Council meeting of the City of New Ulm to order. Item number 1 is the consent agenda. Councilors, what are your wishes?
I'll move them.
We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion does carry. Item number 2.1, B&L Bar Alley Closure, Liquor License Extension, Bavarian Blast, and Sand Volleyball Tournament.
I'll offer the resolution to temporarily close the alley adjacent to the B&L Bar for the following events: Bavarian Blast, Friday, July 21, 2023, beginning at 4 p.m. until 2 a.m., Sunday, July 23rd, 2023, and Spike It in the Street Sand Volleyball Tournament, Friday, August 4th, 2023, beginning at 2 p.m. until 2 a.m. on Sunday, August 6th, 2023.
Second.
And just, can you read the rest into the record? Sorry.
And to authorize the extension of the B&L liquor license into the closed alley area on the requested dates into North Minnesota Street between Center and First North Street during the volleyball tournament, subject to conditions.
Still second.
All right, motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Assistant Director Amira, please call the roll.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
President Becker?
Yes, that motion does carry. Item number 2.2, Mowens Bar Liquor License Extension for Sand Volleyball Tournament.
I'll offer the resolution to authorize the extension of Mowens Bar liquor license into North Minnesota Street between Center and First North Streets during the Spiking in the Streets Sand Volleyball Tournament on Friday, August 4th, 2023, beginning at 2 p.m. until 11:59 p.m. on Saturday, August 5th, 2023, subject to conditions.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Assistant Director Amira, please call the roll.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
President Becker?
Yes, that motion carries. Item number 2.3 is tree license service.
Motion to approve the issuance of a tree service license for Dwayne Roloff doing business as Dues Crew, 814 7th North Street, New Ulm, for the period beginning July 6, 2023, ending June 30th, 2024, subject to compliance with all city and state requirements.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion does carry. Item number 3.1, under reports, placement of additional American flags at City Cemetery.
Madam President, City Council members. Jeff Huffman here from the City of New Ulm Public Works Superintendent. The Legion came to me, approached me about putting some more flags along Highway 14 by the sign. There should be a map in your packet, what they want to add. And we took it to the regular Cemetery Commission meeting last week, and they approved it with the conditions of it's out of MnDOT's right of way, and that they're put cement bases in because they're going to be flying 24/7, and that they're have enough clearance so the lawnmowers can get through them. And it passed, so they recommend that they can put the flags up, those extra 8 additional flags. So it's just brought to the council here to see if your approval.
That always looks sharp, so I'm going to go ahead and approve the request from the American Legion to place 8 additional flags at the city cemetery along Highway 14.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion?
One question for the street commissioner. Jeff, I know, the small ones that go down the avenue, just that little concrete base, you're going to approve, are they going to do like a foot by foot or 2 by 2?
Yes, they're going to
Okay.
be a lot bigger.
All right,
They're going to
thank
be
you.
bigger, yep. Because right now, they just have the PVC pipe
Right.
in, and it's too flimsy, so they want to put the bigger concrete bases in.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion does carry. Item number 4.1, a public hearing date for the 2023 MSAS improvement projects.
Motion to set the date of the public hearing on the 2023 MSAS improvement project for Tuesday, July 18th, 2023 at 4:30 p.m.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion does carry. Item number 4.2, a summary ordinance of number 2023-071 zoning. Mr. Nisley.
Good evening, Council President, Councilors. John Isley, planner with the City of New Ulm. At your last meeting, you approved the ordinance 2023-071. That ordinance is 19 pages long, and because it's 19 pages long, we'd like to propose to the council to, rather than publish the entire ordinance, to approve a summary, and we would publish that in the Journal. We would also have the ordinance in its entirety published on the city's website and available up at second floor of City Hall if anybody would like to see it.
I think it's wise to make things a little more concise and easier to read for folks, so I would make a motion to approve the published summary of ordinance number 2023-071, amending Appendix A of the New Ulm City Code, the zoning ordinance of the City of New Ulm, setback requirements in the I-2 General Industrial Zoning District and specific standards applicable to auto-oriented businesses.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? I just want to ask, so these would be some of the businesses that you're visiting with in regards to the plan, and so the affected businesses are going to be in touch with you, generally speaking, anyway.
Yeah, following the last council meeting where you approved the second reading of the ordinance, we sent out letters the following day, and we've already been in contact with 4 of those 30 and gone through their site plans with them, so.
Fantastic, thank you. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion does carry. Item number 5.1, attendance at the 2023 ICMA Annual Conference.
We've asked Mr. Dalton to attend trainings and encouraging him, so I'm going to go ahead and authorize city manager to attend the 2023 ICMA Annual Conference.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion does carry. Item number 5.2, early retirement of general obligation debt issued in 2016.
In your report?
Just that we're going to be saving about $14,000 by calling the bond early.
I like those. I'm going to offer the resolution. Offer the resolution authorizing the early retirement of the December 1, 2023 through 2026 payments of the general obligation permanent improvement revolving fund bonds, Series 2016A on September 1st, 2023.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Assistant Director Amira, please call the roll.
Okay. Loading here for me. Still loading. We'll just do Counselor Warmka,
Yes.
Counselor Mack,
Yes.
Counselor Christian.
Yes.
Counselor Schultz.
Yes.
President Becker.
Yes, that motion does carry. Item number 5.3, insurance services continuation and request for proposals. Anything on that?
So we've had Firth Miley Insurance since 2003, and they take a 6%. He takes a 6% yearly fee, and there's not much else to say about it other than that. And if Mr. Firth is here, if he would like to talk or speak to the council.
This is a professional service. We don't have to do an RFP for professional services, but I do get calls from other insurance agents in town every once in a while asking if we are going to go out to bid. But we usually haven't, as he's been our insurance agent since 2003.
When we did this 5 years ago, did we go ask for bids and then did not get any, or we did get?
There was definitely one other bid received.
Yep. Okay, I'm trying to remember.
And that bid, well, I don't know if you have anything.
Oh, that's right, because that bid was actually a little bit cheaper, but I think we made the decision to stay with where we're at.
Yep.
We only had one, right? Did we just have the two?
Yeah. The
Last
two
time?
bids total.
Companies inquiring, are they local?
One of them is yes.
Okay.
I guess if we had any service issues or anything with our representative or, or questions or any other concerns from staff with our representation or anything?
No, we have not.
Okay. I think there's something to be said for consistency, and, willingness if he's
Yeah, there's always that
be
balance.
at the
of-
meetings and answer our questions and try to be, I think our agent's been forward-thinking too and trying to look at covering us. One of those examples was the daycare recently and, representation and how we're going to work on that issue and stuff like that for that building and, looking at the city's best interests, so.
Yeah, there's always that balance of the representation on one side, and then whether or not can we save the taxpayers any money by a lower bid. But it is work for staff when you have to start all over with a new company and figure everything out, and how do they do business. I mean, so there's a cost
Correct.
either way.
Do this once every 5 years.
So I got a question. In the past, we have done it. I mean, I'm reading through like the League of Minnesota Cities and whatnot. They're recommending every 5 we should go out for bids.
Well, we'd be consistent. I mean, we did it once before, in those aspects, and then we're doing our due diligence, and we can review it,
Yeah, there's something to be said about consistency, having a good reputable company that, like you said, is available to us, but it is wise to look out there too, if there are others that are interested. But I know that's just it. It's someone that knows the ins and the outs of how this works, or how our city works. I mean, like we said, the daycare is a great example of something that kind of was overlooked on a lot of people's part, that was caught by the insurance company. Is there any input from city? I mean,
I've had no issues.
Okay.
Again, like you said, we went out 5 years ago. I mean, it doesn't hurt, but again, the consistency is a thing, and I think, maybe just throwing it out there.
Somebody inquire.
I do, yep. I do have a local person that usually inquires at least once a year, when we're going to open it back up again, so.
it doesn't hurt to have a bid. I mean, like you said, it's still our final say as to where we go, even if it's a slight margins lower. I mean, it's still our, like we're saying, the consistency and what Firth Miley's brought to us for all these years has been great business.
I look at it as, yes, obviously, we've had great service from our present provider, but if the League of Minnesota Cities recommends bidding it, doesn't mean we wouldn't be going with the same provider. It means that we're going through due diligence to make sure that our rates are are in keeping with what other companies would be charging for the same services.
I mean, reading through it, I'm comfortable if we go out for a bid like that because it, point blank, the city will make its selection of an agent based on the insurance agency broker's qualification, experience, references, and of course, the cost.
Well, I'm going to put a motion out there to direct the finance director to prepare a request for proposal, distribute, accept, and review proposals, provide insurance services to the city of New Ulm affiliated with organizations for a 5-year period commencing January 1, 2024.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion does carry. Item number 5.4, preliminary official statement for the GOPIRF Bond Series 2023.
I'll offer a motion to receive and approve the draft, the preliminary offering statement regarding the $2,025,000 general obligation permanent improvement revolving fund series 2023.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion does carry. Item number 5.5, subordinate load and main to DLC Manufacturing and Fabrication Incorporated.
Council President, councilors, before you have a request to subordinate our loan that we made to DLC back in 2020. They are looking at constructing a new storage shed, 60 by 100 with 20-foot ceilings. Could potentially be cold storage for them. There's about $175,000 left on their current loan, and we've subordinated to other loans in the past.
Okay, so all of our items will stay, I'm trying to remember when we did this.
They still need to meet all their requirements for our loan, but we would just be in a position below Bank Midwest.
Right, but no, I understand that, but no other jobs with this cold storage, they're taking no other jobs or anything, okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Nope. This is just an accessory unit on their property
Okay.
that they're building.
We haven't done this for a while, but we've done it.
I think what was the last one? I'm trying to think which one that was. Black Frost.
Yeah.
Black Frost Distillery, we did, subordinated their loan.
So it's been, okay.
Yep.
I guess I'm okay with it, so I'm going to offer the motion to approve the request of Bank Midwest on behalf of DLC Manufacturing and Fabrication Incorporated to subordinate a loan made by the city of New Ulm to allow new mortgage on the property at 24 Thompson Street.
And a second, any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion does carry. Item number 5.6, Police Department Grant. Chief Borkert.
President Becker, members of the council, Dave Borkert, Chief of Police for the City of New Ulm. What I have in front of you today is ask you to consider a resolution to accept a grant from the Helmsley Charitable Trust. It involves 10 new AEDs. Just a little bit of background on that. They've been contacting, the U of M is acting as the fiscal host, but they've been contacting law enforcement throughout the state. And I've read through it, there's no strings attached or anything like that. They just basically want the resource out there. And what the plan is, if this would be accepted, this resolution would be accepted by the council, is to, our AEDs are still in good shape, have some life left to them, the ones that we've been using, distribute them with other city departments. And we have had some interest. And I had explained that as well when I was preparing the request for council action. So if there's any questions on that, again, very generous on the part of the Helmsley Charitable Trust.
What's the value of one of the units?
Approximately $2,700.
Nice, that's a very nice donation.
I don't have an issue with offer the resolution to accept a grant from Helmsley Charitable Trust providing 10 new LifePak CR2 defibrillators with LifeLink Central Automated External Defibrillators, AEDs, to be used by the New Ulm Police Department responding to medical emergencies.
Second.
And a second, any additional discussion? Assistant Director Amira, please call the roll.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
President Becker?
Yes, that motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 5.7, a development agreement with M&D Properties and Oak Bluffs, and Oak Bluffs 10th edition.
All right, this development agreement covers issues associated with the platting and development of 5 residential lots in a subdivision. All 5 lots would accommodate single-family dwellings. Mike Kroll and Dale Bushard are the partners in M&D Properties LLC who own this property. The property is generally located north of 6 North Street, east of North Highland Avenue, and south of 7th North Street. The current legal description of the property is Lot 5, Block 1, Oak Bluffs, 9th edition. The property is undeveloped and currently being farmed and totals 3.77 acres. The city council approved the final plat of Oak Bluff's 10th edition with conditions at its April 18th, 2023 meeting. So entry into this development agreement will allow the subject property to be developed in an orderly manner with residential uses. And that concludes the staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Nisely.
Just one question, city engineer, I went through here, that 50%, the assessment value. I remember a few times, just as long as these property owners are aware up front, not like our 17th North there where they came in squabbling, forgive the $30,000, $40,000 assessment.
Yeah, Madam President, City Councilors, it's extremely difficult to know what those estimated prices are going to be
Right.
at time of construction, if that's 5, 10, 15 years from now. We have been giving just rough ballpark numbers to the developer. It could be anywhere from 40 to 60,000 per lot. These are
Right.
large lots, a lot of frontage. Yeah, we had discussions with the city attorney about putting more specific language in the agreement, but with so many unknowns, it's hard to do that,
right.
so.
Thank you.
All are for the resolution approving the development agreement with M&D Properties LLC for the property to be plotted as Oak Bluff's 10th edition.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Assistant Director Amira, please call the roll.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
President Becker?
Yes, and that motion does carry. Item number 5.8, receive vacation petition and set public hearing date for August 15th, 2023.
Okay, this petition was submitted by Matt Mathewitz, partner in Prairie Land Development, LLP, and the owner of the property abutting the right-of-way proposed for vacation. The right-of-way proposed for vacation is generally bounded by North Highland Avenue, 12th North, North Garden, and 16th North Streets. Abutting property to the north and south is owned by Prairie Land Development, LLP. The property to the north is being mined for natural materials, and to the south it is being farmed. Elm Street has never been used for street purposes in the past. The procedures for vacating public rights-of-way are described in sections 161 and 165 of the city charter. Section 161 states that the city council may order a hearing on a proposed vacation on its own motion or upon the petition of one or more abutting property owners. And then section 162 states in part that the city council shall set a time and place for a hearing on the proposed vacation. As required by the city charter, the petitioner is an abutting property owner. Prior to the public hearing, the city and Public Utilities Commission departments and other local communication companies will be notified of the request to determine if there is a future need for that public rights-of-way. When this comes back to the city council during the hearing, we will provide a lot more details on the proposed vacation.
Thank you, Mr. Nisely.
I'm fine with that. I'll offer the motion to receive a petition requesting a vacation of part of Elm Street right-of-way from the east of right-of-way line of North Highland Avenue to the northerly extension of northeasterly property line of Outlot 155 and set the public hearing date on the petition for Tuesday, August 15th, 2023 at 4:30 p.m.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion does carry. Item number 5.10, temporary no parking, 5.9, public right-of-way use, parking stalls for Lola's.
Council President, Councilors, before you have a request from Aaron Bodie of Lola's to use 2 parking stalls periodically from May to November each year. This would come annually before you if it was approved every January, but since now we're middle of the year, we're just doing it from now until November. Basically, any day that they would have an event, they would place 2 cones out at about 7 a.m. so they can pull the food truck out, have those there all day, and then when the food truck goes back in, remove them, and it would be from the months of May to November.
I'm not a fan of this request for a couple reasons. I know they cut the deck back, and then they parked their big ugly food truck in there, so it's facing the street. With some of our parklets coming in, we're losing some parking space, and now to potentially give up 2 more, I don't know, I just, I guess I'm not even sure why they want that truck in that particular spot anyway. What they, oh, there's Aaron. Aaron, talk to me.
President, members. So we want to, we tried to eliminate the food truck being in front of the restaurant for the parking reason. And we cut it in there because in the back, we were in that leased parking lot. We were running into the same issue. Our truck was just too big in that parking lot. So we decided to put up in front. That way we could service customers that come downtown without having to pull our truck out and take up spots.
And sorry, Aaron, just name and address for the record, quick, sorry.
No, sorry. 308 South Minnesota Street.
So you actually will be
And we
operating
wouldn't-
it as a food truck in the alley.
We would be, yep. And then
But what about the restaurant?
it would still operate, yep. So we just,
Both.
yeah, we did just run the food truck 2 days ago when we were closed. The restaurant was closed, the food truck ran just out of the alley.
So there's no plans of bringing that, extending the deck back to where it was?
No, we want to use it right now just to get the truck kind of out of the way of parking stalls for other people.
So is the deck going to be used at all?
It is being used, yep, yep. So when you go into the restaurant, you can get food to go out onto the patio as well.
Okay.
Yep.
I've got one question. I mean, if we go either way, you know, on the event days, but technically we'd approve this, that event day could be 6 days a week?
I mean,
I
in
guess,
theory, potentially, yeah.
And I would amend what Chris said. We wouldn't leave the cones out all day. We just want to get the truck out. And if we don't get the truck back in that night, that's fine with us. We'll do it.
Okay.
We'll do it again at some other time. Yep.
I guess I struggle a little bit because the original lease for that property was for a deck, and now it got changed, the use got changed, the deck got removed. Now it's a dedicated parking stall.
That was
And I-
quite the battle many years
Correct.
ago.
And, and I did inquire about it to Chris and to John Nisley. He did say that they reviewed it and they felt it was still, if I'm going to say it correctly, serving food and occupants, so they felt, there was no need to amend the lease or to bring it to council. I did share that with one constituent that did reach out and was concerned about the deck being chopped up and a dedicated parking stall. But John said, because it was in a similar nature, that they felt it was still serving food. But I do struggle here that now with parking and dedicating and taking away a couple more parking stalls for a food truck, and those capacities. And, safety to removing a vehicle or putting it back in,
Mr. Stodham, you had a comment?
Madam President, City Councilors, John and I both put in quite a bit of time on this. The exact language in the agreement is an eatery area. And the agreement doesn't specify a deck or anything like that. And then with discussion with the city attorney on this, he felt this would qualify as an eatery area.
That's the
Just wanted-
interpret I also got from our city attorney that, well, is what it is. They approved it how many years ago, and it is what it is.
Yeah, deck looked nice, when you walk by there was the nice deck, and now it's a big old truck space in there. You're like, whoa, there's a truck in the alley.
Well, and then one of the comments from people is now you can't, the art on the side of the building, you don't look at the art anymore because you got the food truck there and, you can't stand and, take a picture by the art or things of that nature. And I've heard different pros and cons from constituents.
I have to admit, I've
Yeah.
had some calls about, or some approaches about the parking. In particular, one day, somebody was very disgruntled and was yelling, City of New Ulm, friendly, look at this, cones can't park. And I went, well, that was one person. But I have to say, in defense of the project, there is an adequate walkway next to the truck, between the truck and the building, to be able to access the deck, and I have used that as well. So I appreciate the service that's provided. I do bemoan the loss of 2 parking stalls, and it's sporadic, so it's not predictable, but, and maybe it's the placement. This particular person was going to turn in and saw the cones and everything else was filled, and so they were upset. So I'm glad it's coming to council for approval.
You know, on one hand, I look at it, all we ever hear is counselors or the city getting people to come downtown, but don't take my parking stall. Okay, it's a catch-22. I mean, it's,
I mean, there is adequate parking. I mean, I sometimes have to walk, but I can always park downtown. I mean, but that's the thing. Sometimes you just have to walk a little bit more.
And I personally have no gripes about decks that were approved or disapproved in the past. I think what's gone on is fine. Who cares?
yeah, it's,
I honestly, it's a food truck, but it does show vibrancy. When people are outside eating food outdoors and walk about the day, I think that is what we're going for. Those are the things we're looking for. And by saying ugly truck, I think that's one of the nicer looking food trucks I've ever seen at Lola's. So I get it. It's a truck. It's a cube, but what are you going to do with it?
The first time I walked by, I walked down, I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
there's a truck in the alley. What the heck?
No, I think I'm in favor of this. I think, like I said, I think it shows vibrancy. If they're serving food in an off-hour time for quick, easy stuff as you're just walking about the streets, I think that's awesome. That's what I look for when I go to a town, being a tourist.
But I think it's one thing to serve the food, but the other thing to block the parking stalls, or, and that's where we're at, I mean, they can,
Walk a half block.
in those regards, so.
Well, I'm sorry.
I guess question for Aaron real quick. So let's say you put the cones there at 7, what would you estimate you would take the cones off that parking spot?
By 8 o'clock. Yeah, we just want to
Yeah.
make sure that we can get it out.
Yep.
Right, it's just so the truck isn't blocked in like it is right now, currently.
I would be fine with that, and then, I did hear Aaron say that he's, at the end of the day, they don't have to get it back in there that night.
No, we'll leave it back
Yeah.
in the lease parking. Yep.
I would be fine with that, but,
I don't have an issue with that either.
but it's just, my issue would be if it would be like all day sitting there. There could be the rare occasion, it's a late start, they're getting on to travel, and, if it's there till 10 o'clock, so be it, but I
Talk about
think.
that a little bit, about how often you'd be putting the cones out
On average, it's about 4 times a week.
4 times.
Mhm.
And again, when he's gone, people can take their pictures with the art for 12 hours of the day. Well, it's at the beer garden. I mean, it exists, but I don't want to stand in the way of progress.
Well,
You convinced me.
I'm just going to make that I agree also. I mean, we're trying new things. Like, we are trying the parklets
are.
downtown. We have spaces that the Autism Center uses regularly, and those have cones out there. I know that you can't compare the two, but it's one more situation of something new that we need to look at. And I agree, it just lends to the vibrancy of our downtown and giving the people what they want. I mean, this is what tourists come and look and do, and, yeah,
This will be a yearly request.
Yeah, it'll come every January to the
I'm fine
council.
with that, then it comes back to if it's that much of an issue. I'll, motion to approve the public right-of-way use applicant for Lola's 16th North Minnesota Street to place cones in 2 parking stalls in front of the alley entrance exit adjacent to their restaurant to operate their food truck downtown and allow food truck to navigate to various events beginning at 7 a.m. and event days from July 6, 2023 to November 1st, 2023.
Second.
we do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion does carry.
Good luck.
Thank you. Item number 5.10, temporary no parking.
This was a request that was made at the end of last year on 15th North between Garden and Payne. It's across the street from apartment complex. There's cars parked on both sides, so when the snowplow comes through, they have to go around. I went out there on several occasions to look how narrow that street got, and it got pretty narrow. And Jeff's guys do a very good job of trying to go through that street again. This would just make it a little bit easier to have no parking on the residential side of the street or the single-family residence side of the street, so we can get closer to the curb to allow use emergency vehicle access. So it'd be permit parking, temporary no parking, except by permit from November 1st through March 31st.
It's a safety issue, so I'm going to authorize temporary no parking during snow events except by permit from November 1st to March 31st on 15th North between Garden and Payne.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion does carry. Item number 5.11, set public hearing date for noise variance for Zinnel Utility Contracting.
I'll make a motion to approve or schedule a public hearing for Tuesday, August 1st, 2023 at 4:30 PM for a request from Terry Zinnel for noise variance to permit amplified sound at Zinnel Utility Contracting, 4 Sampson Street, to host Party by the Pond event on Saturday, August 26th, 2023 from 3 PM to 12 AM on Sunday, August 27th, 2023.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion does carry. Item number 6.1, report of claims paid.
I'll make a motion to accept the list of claims paid in the amount of $2,030,598.03.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion does carry. With no additional business tonight, this meeting is adjourned.
Oh, are those apartments?